of Sea City, you will have another chance to qualify for Pick Your Trip in about 53 minutes from now. Declan in Ocean City was the most recent qualifier. So Declan will be joining all the other qualifiers. We have a couple more days left for you to qualify next Thursday at Slack Tie Brewing Company on Route 83 in Dennis Township. Of course, Pick Your Trip being brought to you by Philly Sports Trips. Do Phillies road trips with the pros, and also Ernest Suds Old Fashioned Butcher Shop. If you want to learn more about Slack Tie Brewing, go to our website right now, 973ESPN.com, or pull up the 973 ESPN mobile app. A full spread there for you to learn more about Slack Tide Brewing Company, the home of the Eagles draft party with the Sports Bash with Mike Gill. We got a lot to get to here this hour. Of course, we will talk about the Sixers win last night. We will talk about the 2022 NFL draft. And of course, the Phillies lose again. So if you want to get on the conversation, text board is open for you this hour. 609-403-0973 is the text board. And of course, you can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. I will start with the Sixers game before we get to the NFL draft stuff, because last night you saw a shorthanded Raptors team lose a game, and the Sixers did eventually cover the 7.5-point spread in the end. But that's not the important part. The important part is, look, the Raptors just didn't have the firepower last night to keep up with Philadelphia. And that's not a diss on the Raptors, but you really have to wonder, how different could last night's game have been if, and I say if, Gary Trent and Scotty Barnes were out there. Because you're talking about two guys who are a huge part of Toronto's success this year. You have two guys who are a huge part of what that team did. So you have to wonder, if you are a team like the Raptors, do you even have a chance? Seriously, do you even have a chance? Do you even have a hope of beating this team at all if you are not fully healthy? And my first inclination would be, you don't have a chance. And I'm not trying to be a negative person in the Toronto, but your whole season was built upon playing offense and defense a certain way. And if you don't have Scotty Barnes and you don't have Gary Trent Jr., and if you have a limited version of Thad Young, you lose parts of what made you so successful in the past. When you watched the Raptors in the final game of the regular season versus the Sixers, this was an offense that used their guys to spread the floor. It was a team that really presented a lot of matchup problems, because you knew that almost everyone on the floor at any given time could hit a three. That's a game changer. Okay. You saw the Warriors do a higher level version of what this Raptors team likes to do. When you have Siakam and Anunoby and Gary Trent Jr. and Scotty Barnes and Fred VanVleet on the floor, it forces the opposing team to have to be spread out in a way that they don't want to be. It takes them out of their comfort zone. And I think it's very fair to say that if the Raptors can't do what they want to do on offense, they just got to make things ugly on defense. And you got to give the Sixers a lot of credit. The Raptors came out and got very physical with them, and the Sixers did not back down. They got physical right back in their face. They took the fouls. They took the hits. They got to the foul line. I thought it was a huge, huge deal that the Sixers, for 2 straight games now, have forced the Raptors into foul trouble. Okay? 2 straight games that they have gotten to the foul line, and they have forced the Raptors into a situation they don't want to be in, which is having to bring in bench players that really don't fit the kind of offense they want to run. Listen, Toronto threw their best punches last night, but Philadelphia got the job done because they made the foul shots. They hit their threes again. Now they got to go on the road. Okay. And you would expect if Toronto's going to win any game in this series, they're going to win either game 3 or game 4. More likely game 3, but maybe game 4, depending on the status of Scotty Barnes, which I haven't seen anything specifically different about his status right now. Of course, the game is tomorrow night. You hear the action right here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Tom McGinnis on the call. Game 3, 8 p.m. tomorrow night. But back to the game last night, I think that it's very obvious that Toronto, they just can't do what they want to do. Athletically, they can't do what they want to do. Physically, they can't do what they want to do. And I think that Toronto has no chance of beating Philadelphia if they don't have at least Gary Trent Jr. out there, because Trent Jr. was one of their top scorers this year. He's a guy who opens up the floor for a team like Toronto. Toronto doesn't have the superstars like the Sixers Tatum's a star. He's a borderline superstar, but he's a really great player. Or like a team like the Celtics, or a team like the Nets, or a team like Atlanta with Trae Young. Even the Miami Heat with Jimmy Butler. The Toronto Raptors don't have that kind of guy on the floor. So I just don't think there's a chance in the first round. Toronto, at this point, as injured as they are and as unhealthy as they are, can make this a series anymore. Like I said, they'll probably win one game in Toronto, whether it's game 3 or game 4, depending on the health of Scotty Barnes. And if Gary Trent Jr. can get over whatever this flu cold thing he's dealing with. He tried to fight through it last night valiantly to no avail. He put up a big 0 on the board scoring wise. So to me, I think the Sixers are on track right now to win this series in 5. The interesting thing is, if you look at the bracket, the Sixers are on track to face the Miami Heat in the next round. I think Miami has bigger challenge in front of them with the Hawks than the Sixers do with the Raptors at this point. I don't think Trae Young is going to shoot that poorly every game. Now, I don't think Miami per se is going to lose the game tonight, but I think there's a strong possibility that this series is one of those situations where Miami goes up 2-0, they go to Atlanta, they lose both games potentially in Atlanta, and this series has to go 6 games in order for Miami to win. I don't think the Hawks are going to beat Miami, but I think that the Hawks are going to make more of a series of this because they have something that Toronto doesn't. They have a Trae Young. Trae Young is a game changer. When Trae Young gets hot, he's dangerous. And not just hot shooting wise. You saw in the play-in games that Trae Young can be incredibly impactful as a passer. I think one of the greatest levels of his maturation as an NBA player is the fact that Trae Young has gone from being a guy who just chucked shots at Oklahoma, a guy who was perceived as a bit of a ball hog, a guy who had to learn to play with guys of higher level talent when he got to the NBA. I think he has become a much, much more efficient player. Trae Young this past year averaged a career high in assists at 9.7. And his 9.7 to 4 turnover ratio is the best ratio of his career. So he's cut down on the turnovers the last 2 years consecutively. He's raised his assist total 4 straight years. I think that you're seeing a version of Trae Young that's getting better each year. So you don't have to worry about Trae Young doing all the scoring because he's on a team with guys who, when they get hot too, they're dangerous. Listen, Bogdanovich is a guy that we've all seen it in the Sixers series last year. If he gets hot, you're done. You're cooked, right? DeAndre Hunter is out there. You have talent that complements Trae Young in a way that, no offense to the Raptors, I don't think they have talent that complements Pascal Siakam as the number 1 player. I don't even know if Pascal Siakam is a guy who could be a number 1 guy on a championship team. I think Siakam could be a very good 2 and an elite 3, but I think Toronto is missing a superstar. And That's why I think the Sixers, as of right now, after 2 games, obviously hindsight being 2020 with more information presented to me, I think the Sixers win this series in 5, and I think the Heat go 6 or 7. And then the Sixers have an opportunity to rest for a few extra days, allowing them to kind of, heal up, Joel Embiid's elbow, Tyrese Maxey's arm. They can get a little extra healed up and get ready for the next round and take on a Miami Heat team that is actually going to be an intriguing matchup situation. Because I think Miami is the only team in the East that genuinely offers a consistent guy against Embiid. Look, Al Horford, I know he's had success against Embiid in the past, but this isn't the same Al Horford. Okay, this isn't Al Horford from the first Boston run. He's older. He's a little slower. He's more dependent on his basketball IQ and his savvy than he is on his footwork and his ability to stay in front of guys. He's got that old man strength, but he doesn't have the body to bang with Embiid night in and night out. But there is a guy in Miami that does. I think Bam Adebayo presents a very interesting situation because Adebayo is 6'10" on a good day, I understand, but he's freakishly athletic. He is faster, quicker, and more bouncy than Al Horford is. And he is a guy who is a high-level rebounder, and he's a guy who's shown himself to be a very good defensive player. You saw a couple of years ago in the NBA Finals when the Heat played the Lakers that he was a matchup problem for Anthony Davis at times, and the only way they were able to neutralize that is when they got Bam in foul trouble. Now, can Joel Embiid give him in foul trouble? Well, of course he can. He's the best at getting anybody in foul trouble. But I do think that the Miami Heat do present some interesting matchups. Do I think the Sixers would beat them? Sure. But do I think it'll go 5 games? No. I think it's more of a 6-7 game series. And it's just a shame that this Raptors team is not going to be healthy moving forward, because my expectation all along was this was going to be the home teams win all the games. That's how the Sixers win in 7 games. Looks like that prediction was wrong because of injuries and a variety of other things. And now, moving forward, I think the Sixers get to the next round in 5. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Of course, you can text into the show at 609-403-0973 is the text board. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Still to come, I got some thoughts on the 2022 NFL draft. We are about a week and 2 days away, basically, from the first round. Of course, you can hear the NFL draft right here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Of course, you can go to 973ESPN.com for the latest mock drafts. But before we get to any of that, we will get to the draft on the other side here on Game Night, as well as some thoughts on the Phillies who are back at action tonight at 8:40. I will also laugh a little more at Ben McAdoo for sticking his foot in his mouth today when speaking to the media. Of course, we'll check in with you guys at say on the other side as well on the text board and on the app. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night, and this is 97.3 ESPN FM.
It's Sixers playoff basketball tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McInnes, calling all the play-by-play action.
Sixers with hard with a bust to Maxey. Into the lane, Maxey. What a layup. What a play. It's the playoff and a brilliant pass.
It's Sixers Raptors Game 3. Coverage begins at 8 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers playoff basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN.
When you want experience, go for the best. Pick up the phone and call Dennisville Fence. Fences and decks and outdoor showers made of vinyl, aluminum, and wood. They've been serving you since 1952. You're gonna be the envy of your neighborhood.
Are you building a new home or renovating an existing one? As your exclusive South Jersey Active Yards dealer, we make it easy for contractors and homeowners alike to purchase high-quality fencing, railing, and shower enclosure kits. We have glass railing, cable railing, metal railing, and a mile of vinyl T railing in stock. With materials delivered right to your home or job site, we make it easy to get the products you need when you need them. So start planning your project today. Visit DennisvilleFence.com or our newest location at 229 Shore Road in Summers Point. Again, that's 229 Shore Road in Summers Point.
Pick up the phone and call Dennisville Fence. 1-800-499-FENCE. Visit DennisvilleFence.com. O'Reilly.
Protect your vehicle's engine with Syntec and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec Premium Full Synthetic Motor Oil is formulated for today's engines to dissipate heat and friction and reduce wear. Right now, get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select filter for just $33.99. Try Syntec today, exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
How do you make the most of your land? If you ask the Wrens, who run with us on a John Deere mower, they tell you,
I mow first, then I do all the trimming.
But the Hubbards, who work behind the wheel of a John Deere compact tractor, would say,
if it's something you want, just go after it and try it.
Then there's the Mosers, who may mention from the seat of their John Deere Gator UTV.
You can't be all work and not play.
There are millions of ways to make the most of your land. Learn how to make the most of yours at Deere.com. Nothing runs like a Deere.
Research shows people remember radio ads that remind them of the past. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need, here's an ad that'll really take you back.
Back in my day, I heard a voice from the radio say, Liberty Mutual customizes my home insurance so I only pay for what I need. I'm getting on in years now, but heavens to Betsy, there are some things an old fella like me just never forgets.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Did you know running your dishwasher every night with Cascade Platinum actually saves water?
Saving water. Smarter. With the dishwasher.
It's true. An Energy Star certified dishwasher with Cascade Platinum uses only 4 gallons of water per cycle, while a running sink uses that every 2 minutes. Every load saves water.
Saving water. Smarter. With the dishwasher.
So do it every night. Run your dishwasher with Cascade Platinum, the surprising way to
save water.
Do you think all premium fuels are the same? Well, your engine doesn't. Shell V-Power Nitro Plus helps keep your engine running like new because it's engineered to defend against 4 main engine threats: gunk, wear, corrosion, and friction. So next time, choose Shell's most advanced fuel ever. It's fuel for thought. In engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline.
With GMF financing approved credit excludes Corvette.
This just in. Right now, Bennett Chevrolet is paying a minimum $8,000 for any trade. That's at least $8,000 for any trade, running or not. Bennett is doing it again. Want $8,000 for that old rotted out rat trap? Just drive it, push it, tow it to Bennett Chevrolet for a minimum $8,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. Got a good trade? Well, if we're paying a minimum $8,000 for total junk, imagine how much more you'll get for a good quality trade. Looking for new? There's no beating Bennett, because unlike other dealers, we're not selling over factory sticker. And there's 0% available financing. Plus, if you're stuck in a lease, bring it to Bennett. We can get you out early. Any make, any model. And remember, Bennett will buy yours even if you don't buy ours. Stop in for a quick quote. No pressure or obligation, because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid based on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads at Bennett Chevrolet, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
We'll get to the text board in just a bit at 609-403-0973. That's the text board number. You also can join the conversation on 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Don't forget, coming up in about 34 minutes from now, your next opportunity to qualify for the Pick Your Trip contest. The Eagles draft party with the Sports Bash of Mike Gill will be live Thursday, April 28th at Slack Tie Brewing Company on Route 83 in Dennis Township, where one lucky listener will win a trip for 2 to a 2022 Eagles road game, all courtesy of Philly Sports Trips. Do Philly Sports road trips with the pros. Plan your trip at phillysportstrips.com. Also brought to you by Ernest & Sons Old Fashioned Butcher Shop in Brigantine. I try to get to the NFL draft here, and as the draft gets closer, I'm measuring and digesting these mock drafts much more delicately as we go along, because you have a situation where I'm having trouble deciphering the difference between what is some of these guys' analysis and what is some of these guys' actual having information. And the reason I keep bringing that up is because I keep seeing mock drafts with the Eagles taking linebackers. And I'm going to say it, I feel like for the 100th time at this point. Do I want the Eagles to draft Devin Lloyd or Nakobe Dean? Yes. Will they draft one of them? I don't see a scenario happening because it's not in who the Eagles have done. Now, unless all of these people who are doing the mock drafts have some inside information on why they're putting that, they know the Eagles are looking at those players, then sure, I'm more likely to believe that. But I have trouble digesting a scenario where the Eagles draft a linebacker at this point, especially considering this is a draft that is very top heavy. This is a draft that, when it comes to specific positions, it's not as deep as others. I know you can get a pass rusher in the second or third round, but I would prefer you to get one in the first round because of the quality of talent that's out there. It's becoming more and more obvious that Walker from Georgia is not dropping out of top 5. It's becoming very clear that you're probably going to have 2 quarterbacks drafted ahead of the Eagles. That's at least what it looks like right now based on all the reporting out there, not the mock drafts specifically. I think that you're in a situation now where you have to consider 2 things moving forward with this draft. Number one, like I said, there's going to be probably 2 quarterbacks drafted before the Eagles get their pick, which guarantees 2 players will drop down the board a little bit. And 2, I don't know what team it's going to be, but somebody's trading out of their spot. There's been a lot of buzz about Jacksonville and Detroit trading out of 1-2. The Panthers want to get out of the 6th spot. And so between those 3, I expect one of them to trade. We know that the Panthers want 2nd and 3rd round picks again because that's what they had to give up to get Sam Darnold in the first place. The Panthers believe, whether this is true or not, according to reports, that they can get Malik Willis a little bit lower in the draft than 6 overall. So if that's the case, then they got to find a trade partner. That's where the issue is. You have a scenario where does anybody want to trade up with the Panthers? Because in order to get there, you know what they're going to want. You know that they're going to want either, and I say either, multiple first-round picks or quality first, second, third round picks. Do the Eagles have the ammunition in theory to move up to there? Yes. But I can't see them giving up multiple second-round picks because their third-round pick is not enough juice. They just trade their first, second, third-round pick straight up for the Panthers pick. We've seen trades before where that's not what a team would ask for the 6th overall pick. So I think it's very unlikely the Eagles are able to get a deal done with the Panthers at this point in time, unless the Eagles include a player. This is where I do think that the Eagles trading up is a possibility. And you heard Sal Palantonio join Mike Gill earlier today, and we've heard other people who cover the NFL say this. Howie Roseman's still on the phones. He's still making phone calls. He's still working to see what he can do in the draft. Howie's not content just where he's at right now. And I think that means that if the Panthers went to the Eagles and said, if you give us your 15th overall pick, your second round, one of your second round picks, a third round pick, and Andre Dillard, we might be able to make something work. I think that is maybe the path for the Eagles to move up and potentially get the guy that they really want. I think teams like the Eagles really want Ahmad Sauce Gardner. The Eagles missed out on both Patrick Surtain II and J.C. Horn last year. So you have a situation where they didn't get the premier corners from last year's draft, and you knew that they weren't interested in Caleb Farley because of his injury history. So I'm not trying to give you guys false hope out there, but I do think there is still an outside chance of the Eagles trading up to get a guy like Gardner. Less likely Hamilton, but I'm thinking Gardner is the bigger target because, as I was telling Mike Gill earlier on the Sports Bash, I'm not a huge fan of Derek Stingley. He was incredible as a freshman. And then there was the lockout year. And then he had the Liz Frank injury. And I am concerned about any player like Stingley who regressed the way he did from one year to the next and then has an injury. Now, according to reports, again, this is according to reports, we don't know for sure, but the theory is that he needs another 4 to 6 months to recover from the surgery. Okay? There was a drop off for him from his freshman year to his sophomore year. Now, was the drop off because of the pandemic year? Was it because he was playing around less good talent around him? I don't know. And then before he got injured, the Liz Frank injury, he was good, but not great, in my opinion. And if the Eagles didn't want to draft Caleb Farley last year, who had some injury concerns, are you really going to draft Derek Stingley this year? Then you got Trent McDuffie. Now, as I mentioned last week to you guys, McDuffie is not one of the guys who's going to be at the draft. Now, we don't know if that's because he wanted to be at home with his family or because the NFL is not sure if he's being a first-round pick. McDuffie is good, but not great. I think McDuffie is a solid guy, but in an NFL draft with some pretty high-level defensive players, he feels like an underwhelming guy to walk away out of with the draft. Now, of course, there are people who don't like Pac-12 players. They feel like they're overrated. Speaking of Sal Palantonio. But I can't blame them for feeling that way. You know, you have an Eagles organization that the last Pac-12 guy they nailed was Isaac Seumalo. And the Eagles basically hit on almost every offensive lineman they draft. Before that, it was Zach Ertz. So you have an organization that has missed on multiple Pac-12 guys in the last several years. I can't blame people for looking at this guy and being like, look, I don't want McDuffie because he's from a league that I can't trust the Eagles talent evaluator with. And then you got Andrew Booth. Now, Booth is also coming off of an injury, but it's not as serious as Derek Stingley's Liz Frank. Now, I like Booth because of the fact that he is a guy that played on some really, really good defenses. And I'm a big believer in if you're one of the guys who stands out in a defense that's high level like that, I'm more likely to believe in you. Now, Booth, who is he had surgery for a core muscle injury, basically, for those who are wondering, also had what they're considering a minor quad injury while he was in college. So, is it as serious as Stingley or Caleb Farley's injury issues? No. But I do think there is some caution to be had. He still played 11 games last year, 10 games the year before. And in both those years, you're talking about a Clemson team that was top 20 in the country in defense. So you have a guy who is an integral part of a top 20 defense in back-to-back years I tend to want to say that I'm interested in that guy. But again, does the injury issue concern you? It's something to ask. It's a fair question to ask. Okay. Core muscle surgery is an inexact science because core muscle is something that fills in a lot of voids. Okay. That can go from herniations to tears to strains to pulls. There's a variety of reasons why people need core muscle surgeries, right? So it's not an exact thing. And I'm sure that the Eagles have more information on his injury history than I do. But I like in what I saw of Booth in college. So if the Eagles can't trade up for Sauce Gardner, the guy I want to see in the Eagles uniform is Booth. I think he's a competitor. I think he's a hard worker. I think he's a guy that, he has shown me the ability to compete at a high level. Not the tallest guy in the world. He's a straight 6 foot, 200 weight kind of guy. But he's bigger than McDuffie. He's roughly the same size as Derek Stingley. He's a little smaller than Ahmad Gardner. Of course, the other guy I like in the draft is Kyer Elam from Florida. I think Elam showed that he's a guy that can compete. You play in a conference like the SEC, and you're a guy who is going out there and putting up a great performance against some of the best receivers in college football. I got to take you seriously. Elam's bigger than Booth. He's about Sauce Gardner's size. He doesn't have Gardner's blue chip prospect level, but he's something to keep an eye on. And again, I keep looking at the cornerbacks. I think there are more high-level quarterbacks to be had in the first round than safeties. To me, if you don't get Kyle Hamilton, you'll wait to the second round and get Brisker from Penn State and be done with it. Personally, I want to see the Eagles go out there and sign Tyrann Mathieu and get it over with so I don't have to worry about the safety position anymore. I don't think there's that cornerback who answers the question. And frankly, the Eagles need to get younger at corner. They've brought in so many guys over the years who are older guys to play corner, from your Steven Nelson to the Super Bowl year. They had Patrick Robinson, Ronald Darby. Remember, he couldn't stay healthy. This organization, aside from Avonte Maddox, really hasn't developed any corners in recent years. Now, part of that was because of Jim Schwartz's defense, which didn't put an emphasis on corner development and put an emphasis on pass rushers and the defensive line. So you're thinking that with Gannon here, it opens more opportunities for you to develop corners. But they did draft Zech McPherson last year, and, well, he's kind of a footnote in history at this point. So I think it's time for them to go big or go home on the corner position, because they were trying to do it last year. They couldn't get it done. This is the year to do it. And you got to trade Andre Dillard to do it. Do it. Get it over with. If you tell me that I got to give up Andre Dillard to get a corner at this point, that's not even a question. So that's my little perspective on the 2022 NFL Draft. Of course, you can join the conversation. Text board is open at 609-403-0973 is text board. You also can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Over on the text board, texter says, what do you think about trading our late third round pick and the 15th pick to Atlanta to move up to get Gardner, to get or Kyle Hamilton? Couple things. One, I don't think a third round pick and the 15th overall pick is enough to get Atlanta's pick. Again, and I don't say this to be disparaging, okay? And I'm when I say this, I mean this in all deference and all sincerity. But I think part of the problem, as I've said before, is that video games have destroyed people's ability to think rationally. In the real world, you can't trade one first-round pick and a third-round pick to get the 8th overall pick. It might be possible in a video game. It's not possible in the real world. I don't see a scenario where Atlanta is willing to be hoodwinked into getting that little in return. Now, if you tell me that you're giving up the 15th pick, your second round pick, and Andre Dillard, I think that's more of a conversation because Atlanta desperately needs offensive line help. And getting another 50 in that 15th overall pick is a situation where you allow them to still get a quality player. So if you're telling me you're going to give up more than the 15th overall pick and your late third round pick to get to Atlanta, that's more believable. But we got to stop, all of us. And it's not just the texter who texted it in. It's every single one of us who have, done mock drafts, done simulators, played video games. We all have to stop looking at the world through the prism of that stuff, okay? The NFL for the last 30 plus years has been running off of the concepts built by Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson developed a system with Gil Brandt and the Cowboys to say every pick has this value. And I don't have the chart in front of me right now, but I feel comfortable saying that the 15th overall pick and a late third round pick do not add up in value points to the 8th overall pick. Now, again, I got to get that list in front of me. Maybe I can get that up during the break. But the 8th overall pick, like the 6th overall pick, is a high value pick. Anything in the top 10 is going to require some serious collateral and leverage to move up. You saw what the Eagles did when they got Carson Wentz. They traded up twice to get there. And it took them trading Byron Maxwell and Kiko Alonso to Miami, then using the Miami pick and the first round pick the next year to get up to number 2 to get Wentz. So if you think about that, the 8th overall pick and a first round pick the next year combined are what values the second round pick. And to get from a mid-teens pick up to the Miami Dolphins pick, which I believe was 8th overall, from double checking. Let me double check that really quick. And you're talking about 2 players under contract and a first round pick to move up. That's a lot of picks, right? I just don't see a scenario where that it's going to be enough, Texter. So I appreciate you throwing out there an idea. I just don't see a scenario where that actually happens. And again, I'm not being completely dismissive of it. I do think that there is a scenario where the Eagles do trade up. I don't doubt that at all. Yeah, so it was the 8th overall pick the Eagles traded to get up to 2 to get Wentz with Cleveland. Then Cleveland subsequently traded, it looks like they traded that pick to Tennessee. So, but the point is that I do genuinely believe that the Eagles are going to make a move. I just don't know if it's going to be Atlanta or Carolina. And whatever happens with 1 and 2, I think it's going to dictate those things. I don't know how many more trades we're going to have before draft night, because I think a lot of people are curious what Jacksonville, Detroit does. There's a lot of rumor and speculation that Jacksonville and Detroit want to get out of those picks. Do they get anyone to bite and move up? That's question number 1. Number 2, if they don't get anyone to move up, who do they pick? The assumption has been Aiden Hutchinson of Michigan, but there's growing speculation that Walker of Georgia is moving up the draft board. So does Jacksonville or Detroit take Walker? Does anyone pick a quarterback before the Panthers at 6? It's a lot of questions. And if you're the Panthers, how many of the quarterbacks do you like? There's a lot of speculation that they like Willis and Pickett, but depending on which reporter or insider you ask, depends on which one you think is the favorite in that situation. I still believe that you will see 2 quarterbacks picked before the Eagles' 15th overall pick. And if that's the case, you're going to see multiple guys dropping. And how does that impact the Eagles? If you look at the draft and let's say someone drops to 10, can Howie Roseman get on with his buddy Joe Douglas on the phone and make a deal? That's a place I could definitely see, and they would love to have Andre Dillard over there. Frankly, most of the teams in the top 10 can use an offensive lineman, so the Dillard trade piece is a very appealing option for the Eagles right now. I don't know if it's the best option, but I think it's a very interesting option to keep an eye on as we get closer to the NFL draft. Thursday, April 28th is the first round. And of course, that day, the Sports Bash with Mike Gill will have the Eagles draft party at Slack Tie Brewing Company on Route 83 in Dennis Township. Of course, we'll have another opportunity for you to qualify the Pick Your Trip contest that day coming up in about 12 minutes from now. You can also read more about the host of this year's Eagles draft party, Slack Tie Brewing Company on Route 83, over on our website, 973ESPN.com, and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here in the Matt Black Kia Studios here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Of course, Game Night being brought to you by the AC Airport. Plan your next vacation now and create memories that last a lifetime. Start with nonstop flights from Atlantic City to Boston, Atlanta, San Juan, and Miami. Book your low-cost flight today at spirit.com. Coming up on the other side, we'll talk a little more NFL draft, and we will hit on the Phillies, who are back in action at 8:40 tonight. And check on the text board one more time, 609-403-0973 is the text board. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night here on 97.3 ESPN FM.
It's Flyers Maple Leafs tonight with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action.
He scores! Just no quit by the Flyers.
Coverage begins at 7 p.m. on your home for Flyers hockey in South Jersey.
Oh, big save by Carter Hart.
97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Prince in front. Good puck, they score!
Spring into savings all month and spring out of that car you hate at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan. Bring any trade, any make, any condition. Even if you're stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released so you can drive home in your new Nissan today. Just because you don't see it on the lot doesn't mean you can't drive it home tomorrow. With 0 down and 0.9% financing on every new Nissan. New 2022 Titan trucks. $5,000 off. Plus, AJ the Trade Man will get you more for your trade so you can drive a brand new Nissan. And of course, the Matt Blatt Nissan Peace of Mind. 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Only at MattBlattNissan.com. On approved credit, negative equity will be refinanced if a new vehicle plus tax tag and $479 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. 0.9 for 36 months selling price. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 5/6/2022. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike. Egg Harbor Township.
Carrie, can you make sure 8 is cleaned up?
Restaurant Week has Sanjay's tables jam-packed.
Somebody please refill the...
He needs more servers to keep these new customers coming back.
Let's keep these tables turning as fast as possible, okay? Gonna need to hustle.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
O'Reilly. This is Sarah's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
Driving cross country with 2 young children is ambitious, to say the least. Then our check engine light came on. We pulled into O'Reilly Auto Parts and they tested it. Turned out it was a faulty sensor. They referred us to a great mechanic just down the street and we were back on the road in no time.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Did you know running your dishwasher every night with Cascade Platinum actually saves water?
Saving water. Smarter. with the dishwasher.
It's true. An Energy Star certified dishwasher with Cascade Platinum uses only 4 gallons of water per cycle, while a running sink uses that every 2 minutes. Every load saves water.
Saving water smarter with the dishwasher.
So do it every night. Run your dishwasher with Cascade Platinum, the surprising way to
save water.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents
and Doug.
Check it out, Limu, a roadside carnival.
Step right up, folks. Test your strength. Come see the fire-breathing baby.
Let's fan out and tell people that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Look! An emu wearing sunglasses!
Limu, you're famous. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Straight Talk Wireless now has the new iPhone 13 with cinematic mode, which lets you focus on what matters. And with Straight Talk, you can focus on getting the best deal. Our Silver Unlimited plan is just $45 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data. And it runs on the largest, most dependable networks, now with nationwide 5G. With the iPhone 13 on Straight Talk, you can share whatever you want, wherever you want. Straight Talk Wireless. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Do you want the best for your car? Then fill up with Premium at Circle K. Circle K Premium is our best fuel with double the cleaning detergent, protecting your engine from corrosion and damage so it can work at its best. And that, my friend, increases your mileage for more cha-ching in your pocket. Plus, when you fill up with Premium at Circle K, you can save up to 20 cents per gallon. Offer valid Thursdays or Fridays at participating stores. For details, visit CircleK.com. Circle K. How convenient.
Powerball is now at $370 million. Stop searching for 4-leaf clovers and take a chance on Powerball today. With a jackpot win, you could have the power to do it all. Anything can happen in Jersey.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig hanging out with you here in the Matt Black Team Studios here on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. We are about 6 minutes away from your next opportunity to qualify for the Pick Your Trip contest, courtesy of Philly Sports Trips and Ernest & Sons Old Fashioned Butcher Shop. Of course, if you are a qualifier to Pick Your Trip, you must be present Thursday, April 28th at Slack Tie Brewing Company on Route 83 during Mike Gill's live broadcast of the Sports Bash with Mike Gill that day. I know Pete Thompson will be in attendance as well. So aside from Slack Tie just being a great place you should go check out, is Mike Gill and Pete Thompson being there. Two pretty good reasons to be for right there. If you want to learn more about Slack Tie Brewing Company over on Route 83, you can go to our website, 973ESPN.com, or pop up the 97.3 ESPN mobile app to learn more about the brewery. Before we get out of here, I said I would hit on the Phillies really quick. So last night was another loss. I'm just getting tired of this team, guys. I mean, you know, I'm not bailing on them because it's very early in the season, but they have another lineup change today. And it's starting to feel like Girardi is just throwing darts at the board, hoping something works. Because you lost to the Rockies 4-1 in Colorado. There is no reason why you should ever lose to the Rockies 4-1. Their pitching staff is not that great. It looks like most of the guys in this lineup are pressing and they're trying way too hard. I hope they can get this figured out, but I think that the problem is going to be fixed, though, in a way that is probably going to happen in the next 2 days. This lineup can hit. We all know that. We've already seen it this year. But for the Phillies, them not hitting in Colorado last night was, frankly, disheartening. The Rockies don't have a great pitching staff. And tonight you got Freeland going for them, and he's got a massive contract extension. He's arguably their best pitcher. And then tomorrow you got Marquez, who, if Freeland's the best pitcher, it's Marquez. So You should have won the game last night. Last night was the game to win. Now you got to go up against two of their best with not two of your best. Gibson tonight, Eflin tomorrow. You don't get Suarez, Wheeler, and Nola till you get home Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And, I mean, I'd rather have Gibson on the mound than Nola right now, but the theory would be that you need Nola to step up and get out of this funk that he's in. I don't know if it's psychological, it's mechanical. I think him and Wheeler are both in a very odd situation right now. But for the Phillies, after winning 3 of their first 4 games on the season, they had a 4-game losing streak, and now they've lost 2 games in a row with 1 win in between. But what do all their wins have in common? Aside from one, they pretty much went out there and bashed the ball. Only 2 of their losses that they going out there and legitimately hit. So what gives? You can't tell me it's the pitching every time that's failing you, because it's not. So to me, tonight is a night they got to figure out the hitting. Now, the lineup suggests that Girardi thinks that he has to shake this lineup up to get that done. You got Segura now leading off. You had JT Realmuto leading off for a couple nights. Now it's Segura. You move Hoskins to the 2-hole, which I absolutely hate. I'm not a fan of Hoskins in the 2-hole. Harper 3, Castellanos 4, Realmuto 5, Schwarber 6, Bohm 7, Gregorius 8, Vierling 9. To me, Vierling is the greatest eyesore. This organization grossly overestimated his ability. He is arguably one of the worst hitters in baseball right now. It's a complete waste having this guy in the lineup. And the Phillies got to figure out what they're going to do about it, because just waiting for Moniak and Herrera to get healthy again is not an option at this point. And it's difficult for the Phillies when they keep turning over the lineup to whoever's in the top slot when Vierling keeps grounding out or striking out or flying out. It's an embarrassment. Frankly, I think they need to find a lineup and stick with it for more than a few days. If I'm Girardi, I would go to my guys and be like, look, this is the lineup for 7 days. Deal with it. And then see what happens. Shuffling the guys all over the place, it's just not recommended in my opinion. All right, it's time for you to qualify for Pick Your Trip. I'm looking for caller number 7 at 609-573-3776, 609-573-3776. Sports Bash with Mike will be live Thursday, April 28th at Slack Tie Brewing Company on Route 83 in Dennis Township, where one lucky listener will win a trip for 2 to a 2022 Eagles road game, courtesy of Philly Sports Trips. Do Philly Sports Trips with the pros. Plan your trip at phillysportstrips.com, and also brought to you by Ernest's Old Fashioned Butcher Shop in Brigantine. The calling number is 609-573-3776. Caller number 7, you will be a qualifier for the Pick Your Trip contest at the Eagles draft party on Thursday, April 28th at Slack Tie Brewing Company. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. Have a great night. I'll catch you tomorrow.